Hey guys, Andru here, editor-in-chief at relive.com. Happy New Year. We are here at the end of 2016, leading into 2017, and I figured for one last video for the year, I'd do a top 10 countdown. So these are the top 10 most watched videos here on my YouTube channel for 2016. So if you're a new subscriber, you might see a video here that caused you to hit that subscribe button. And if you've been watching for a while, it's a nice way to look back at the year in tech, at least from my perspective, or probably from your perspective, because you guys are the ones who watch these videos, putting them in the top 10. Now here on my channel, I did about 125 videos, give or take a couple, here in 2016. So these are the top 10, but there's 115 more that aren't on this list. So to me, that was a pretty great year for publishing video. But anyway, let's get started with the list, starting with number 10. And I was actually surprised this one was so low on the list. I thought it'd be higher. It's my iPhone 7 review. And there's actually a different video than this one showing me going through the day trying to find all the different colors of iPhone so that I can make my video running all over the Seattle area. I'll leave a link to that one in the description below as well. But here's a clip from the number 10 video, my iPhone 7 review. Are Apple's latest flagship devices worth your attention and hard-earned cash? After over a month using it on a daily basis, I'm here to break it down for you right now. Apple is known for their bold approach, and this year, the iPhone 7 flagship is no different. Obviously, there's an uncanny resemblance between it and its predecessor, yet it manages to incorporate subtle yet key changes, starting with design. Forged out of an aluminum body, the feel of the iPhone remains pretty much the same, unless you opt for the more tactile feeling and hard to find jet black model, which is what I have here. Now, the finish on the jet black model is unlike any other finish that Apple's ever put on any other device that it's made. But regardless of the color you choose, the dimensions are exactly the same as last year's model. The visible changes only come in the form of a slight shift of the antenna lines and some tweaks to the camera area, which are much more obvious on the iPhone 7 Plus. And there's also a new unibody design that's almost seamless to the touch. So with the physical appearance remaining mostly the same and the jet black model remaining so hard to find, now of course I won't blame you if you prefer the jet black look, which Apple has been pushing super hard in the iPhone 7 marketing materials. The end result looks so good that it's hard to tell where the aluminum ends and the glass begins. Well, that's how it is until the micro abrasions and scratches start to show up. Now, Apple recommends covering up the jet black model in a case if you're concerned about that, but it kind of defeats the purpose of buying the jet black finish if you're just covering it up with a case, right? The right side is where you find the power button, while the left is for the volume rockers and the mute switch. Along the top bezel, you'll find the new 7-megapixel FaceTime camera, along with the speaker grill and various sensors. And yes, that earpiece on top is a real speaker now. But all that said, this bottom area right here is where most of the notable external changes are found, and we'll get to those in a bit. All right, guys, up next at number 9, another one that surprised me because of all the videos I did, over 125 videos. This one was number 9. It's the HP Pavilion 12X2 review. This is a tablet that can also be used like a laptop, coming out of HP. It's a consumer model. Here's a look at that one.
If you're looking for a budget Windows laptop that can also serve as a tablet when you need it to, then you may not have to look much further than the 12-inch HP Pavilion X2. When used with the keyboard, it's less than an inch thick and weighs just under 3¼ pounds. The metal keyboard base is easily detachable, allowing you to sit back and relax with it in tablet mode. Of course, if you need to bang out some emails or just want the more traditional form factor, you also have the standard laptop mode. Other views include stand mode, which put the display front and center with the keyboard behind it tucked out of the way, and tent mode, which HP says is great for watching TV, movies, and even my YouTube channel. Looking at the ports on the device, you have a USB 2.0 and a 3.5mm jack on the left, and over on the right there's a micro SD card slot, mini HDMI, and a USB-C port that's capped at USB 3.0 speeds. This port is also used for charging the device. As for the processor, you can choose between the Intel Atom version with 2 or 4 GB of RAM, which starts at $499. Or you can do what I recommend and opt for the one with the 6th generation Intel Core M3 chip. That one costs $549, just $50 more than the Atom version. It's matched up with 4 GB of RAM and a 128 GB SSD. And the touch display, which you see right up front, is 1920 by 1280 and includes pen support. HP's Active Pen is sold separately. This is an IPS display, so viewing angles are good and don't get washed out. You'll want to keep the brightness jacked up though, as I found the display to be more on the dim side. On the sides of the display, you've got a pair of speakers. Don't let the Bang & Olufsen logo fool you though, as the sound that comes out of these is just average. But the nice part is that they are front-facing speakers, which is a rarity on laptops and tablets. As for cameras, there's nothing on the rear, but up front you get a camera that does 720p high-definition video for those Skype calls. The keyboard itself is fine, you get enough space to not feel cramped, and also good travel distance on the keys themselves so that you can actually feel when you're pressing them.
All right guys, up next, coming in at number 8 is an interesting video that I shot at CES 2016. This is my interview with Kanoa. In CES 2016 took place in January, so it's almost a year ago. Kanoa makes, or is trying to make, truly wireless headphones. At the time, it was pretty novel because it was headphones that don't connect to your device or to each other. They're truly wireless. But now here at the end of 2016, we've seen a bunch of companies launch similar devices, including Apple with the recent AirPods release. And even more interesting, Kanoa has still not yet released its truly wireless earbuds. However, at the time people liked it. Here's a look at the interview with Kanoa.
True wireless earbuds, right? What do you mean by true wireless? Because obviously, or at least up until now, wires had to come into play somewhere.
Well, you don't need wires anymore. It used to be the case, and there's a couple brands out there that kind of try to half-ass the term of being wireless.
Okay. What do you mean by that, half-ass?
What I mean is you take two earphones and they remove the wire that goes to your phone, but they put a wire in between.
Okay.
So that's not wireless, that's one wire less. So what we got is we did completely wireless and we cut the cords completely. And the reason this was tough to do is because we had these latency issues. You know, we wanted to make sure that the left earphone doesn't go before the right earphone, and that when you watch a video, the video isn't ahead of the audio you hear. This was the biggest issue that most of the companies were struggling with, and is the issue that we have solved now with our wireless earphones.
This right here is your earbud.
That's right.
And so that's one side, and then there's the other side. No wire between them, as you said.
Right.
How do I charge them? Plug them in with a wire?
No, you don't plug them in with a wire. You drop them in a charging case. And the charging case is about this big, small, seamless, like a clamshell. You drop them right in, instantly starts charging. 1.5 hours later, you're fully charged, 4 to 6 hours of battery life.
All right, so not even a wire to charge. Okay, so obviously, okay, true wireless. That's true wireless.
That's what true means, man.
Right, exactly. I thought it was false for a minute. I tried to catch you. All right, so let's talk about how you fit these into your ear, because it seems like there's a lot of different pieces here.
Right, so what we got here is, this is the actual body of the earphone. If you could see it here as well. When you order the earphones, you get the charging case, you get the two earphones, but you get a bunch of these little silicone jackets as well. The silicone jackets, you slide right over this earphone, just like that. And you add a bunch of ear tips as well. So we got memory foam ear tips. So those hold onto into your ear canal, and these sit right here in your concha and your helix, and they make sure that you have a very comfortable fitment and it doesn't go anywhere. It stays securely in your ear.
All right, guys, we are up to number 7 now. As much as this phone seemed to get a lot of hatred this year, a lot of people certainly watched videos about it, and I'm talking about the LG G5. Now, number 7 is not the LG G5 review, but it was the LG G5 camera review. The LG G5 was unique because it launched with 2 cameras on back instead of just 1. Obviously, we've seen the LG V20 and the iPhone 7 Plus do that since then, but at the time earlier this year, it was a pretty novel concept. Check it out.
Start with my initial LG G5 review, which I'll link in the description box below. That'll give you a full rundown of everything the LG G5 can do. However, if you're here because you want to find out more about the camera specifically, let's jump into it. Now, one thing I want to say before we get started so you know exactly what you're looking at here. All of the images and video footage that you'll see in this review are taken directly off of the LG G5 with no filters or effects applied to them. The only time where this won't be the case is when you see the actual LG G5 itself on camera, like you see here. The LG G5 features a dual camera system on the rear, which features a 16 megapixel camera with hybrid infrared autofocus and an 8 megapixel 135-degree wide-angle camera as well. This dual sensor setup, coupled with LG's camera software, results in a great picture-taking experience. Rather than focusing on gimmicks like 3D images like other dual lens systems in the past, LG gives you access to both sensors individually. You can toggle between the two by tapping on the single tree and triple tree icons within the app to pick which one you'd like. Comparing the two cameras to each other, the 16 megapixel version is your main shooter, offering laser autofocus, which results in very fast, very accurate autofocus for whatever you point the camera at, coupled with an f1.8 aperture, which does a great job in low light settings. I've done a lot of shooting in dim indoor conditions and outdoors at nighttime, and I have yet to see another smartphone that can perform as well in the dark, and that's including the iPhone 6s and Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge. When shooting, the colors are accurate, the contrast is above average, and the dynamic range is on point. It does a good job at capturing detail in the shadows while simultaneously not letting the highlights get out of control. Now let's talk about the 8 megapixel wide angle lens. At 135 degrees, it's very wide, and as such you can expect a little distortion, but not as bad as a GoPro. It's a side effect of being able to get a bunch more of what you're looking at into your shot. It works great for tight areas where you don't have a lot of room, as well as for sweeping landscapes. Now this wide angle camera has an f2.4 aperture, so you're still going to get a decent amount of light, but not as much as the main 16 megapixel.
All right, guys, coming in at number 6 was actually not that impressive of a computer. It was just a small spec bump to the MacBook. However, aside from the small spec bump, Apple also released a new color. So this was my review of the rose gold MacBook.
The thing about the 2016 model of MacBook is that a lot of it is pretty much the same. So before we get into the differences, let me just go over what hasn't changed. First, you've got the same 12-inch Retina display with a 2304 by 1440 resolution, which is still one of the best on a notebook, period. It's also got a great 170-degree viewing angle. The new MacBook also still has the one single USB-C port, which is totally fine for me. But if you find yourself needing to plug in multiple things into your notebook on a regular basis, then the MacBook is probably not for you. The keyboard is backlit and uses a butterfly mechanism. It's a switch mechanism that basically just allows the keyboard to fit into the super thin chassis of the MacBook. But what that means is that you don't get a lot of key travel. It took me all of 5 minutes to get used to it last year on the original MacBook, and now it's my keyboard style of choice. Now let's talk about what's different. First, Skylake processors. For 2016, Apple has outfitted the MacBooks with Intel Skylake Core M processors. You get the choice of the dual-core M3, M5, or M7. And it breaks down like this. The Core M3 is a 1.1 gigahertz chip that turbo boosts to 2.0 gigahertz. The M5 is 1.2 gigahertz with turbo boost up to 2.7 gigahertz. And finally, the Core M7, which is a build to order option, is 1.3 gigahertz with turbo boost up to 3.1 gigahertz. What's interesting is that these models seem to be in turbo boost mode at almost all times. In fact, the M7 model that I'm using here is just about 4% slower than the previous generation MacBook Pro in terms of processor speed, and that's quite a surprise. The next big change is faster storage, faster RAM, and faster graphics. First, let's talk about the flash storage. These are the chips used to store your data on the MacBook. These new SSDs can do sequential reads of up to 1 gigabit per second, which is 20% faster than the previous model. While a 20% read speed gain is great, even more impressive is that write speeds are 90% faster on the 2016 MacBook when compared to its predecessor. That's a big deal and means that when you're using the MacBook to get things done, you won't feel the squeeze. The 2016 MacBook is definitely greater than the sum of its parts. The faster flash storage is paired with faster RAM.
All right, guys, next up is number 5, and this is actually one of my favorite smartphones of the year, HTC 10. HTC did a great job revamping their smartphone, reducing the clutter, putting in a great camera, amazing sound, feels good in the hand. It was really a fantastic phone all around, probably in my top 2 or 3 Android smartphones of the year. It's my review of the HTC 10.
If you've been paying attention to HTC's line of smartphones over the past 3 years, you'll notice that the HTC 10 seems familiar, yet also introduces a fresh start for the line. Previous devices were good, but never really seen as universally great. This year, the company has come out swinging. I've been using the HTC 10 for about a month, and while I brought you my top 5 features video a few weeks ago, which I'll leave a link to that in the description below, I wanted to wait before publishing my full review since I knew that there was a good chance that HTC might roll out some software updates prior to launch that could change opinions on some of the features. But before we talk about that, let's start out by talking about the hardware and build quality. The build quality on the HTC 10 is some of the best I've ever seen on a smartphone device in many, many years of reviewing gadgets. Obviously, the metal construction looks and feels great, although if you have smaller hands, you might feel that it's a bit chunky. As you can see on the right, you've got the micro SIM tray, the volume rocker, along with a very obvious power button, which is a fantastic move by HTC. I'm not sure why they're the only one doing this, but this also appeared on the HTC One A9 a few months ago, and I liked it there too. I'll leave a link to that review in the description below in case you want to check it out. On the bottom, we've got the base speaker, microphone, and USB-C port for charging and syncing, and yes, this device does support Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0. The left side is bare, save for the micro SD card slot at the top, which supports cards up to 2 terabytes in size. The one I have is just 200 gigabytes, and it does support Android Marshmallow's adaptive storage feature. Up top, you've got the auxiliary port, which packs some serious punch, but more on that in just a moment. Rounding out the hardware tour up front, we've got the speaker, LED notification light, selfie camera, and home button with built-in fingerprint reader, which sits between the capacitive buttons, back button on the left, and multitasking on the right. Finally, on back is the main ultra-pixel camera. The 5.2-inch Quad HD Super LCD5 display that's 2560 by 1440 with 564 pixels per inch and curved edge Gorilla Glass sports 30% more colors tuned to cinema standards. And I prefer that when compared to the overblown look of AMOLED.
All right, guys, coming at number 4 is a much more recent video. This is my initial reaction to Apple's event where they announced the MacBook Pro with Touch Bar. I was thoroughly confused. I'm still kind of confused about what they're doing over there. I thought the MacBook Pro could have been so much more. After using it for about a month, I actually do think it's a great machine, but there are some quizzical things about it. But here you can see my initial reaction. This was before I used one. This is my WTF, what is up with the Apple MacBook Pro? Okay, but now onto these MacBook Pros. Apple just sent one over today. I've got the entry-level MacBook Pro here. This one does not have the OLED Touch Bar, and this might be the most confusing one of the bunch. So I'm going to recap all the MacBook Pro news, but before I do that, let me tell you what didn't get updated. Apple has, I believe, 6 computers. They have the Mac Pro, which did not get updated. They have the MacBook Air, which did not get updated. They have the 12-inch MacBook, which did not get updated. They have the iMac, which did not get updated. And they have the MacBook Pro, which did get updated. So I guess there's five models of computer that Apple sells. Nope, there's also the Mac Mini, which did not get updated. So I was right, they have 6. So what were the announcements? Let's jump into this right now. I'll tell you all about what Apple announced. Let's get to it.
So as I mentioned yesterday, Apple announced the brand new MacBook Pro. There are 13-inch and 15-inch models that come in both silver and space gray. Both models are thinner than their predecessors, with the 13-inch coming in at 14.9 millimeters thick and just 3 pounds, and the 15-inch version 15.5 millimeters thick at 4 pounds. On the inside, the Force Touch trackpad is twice as large, and there's a second generation butterfly hinge keyboard, which provides better travel and better feedback when typing. The main feature though on the new MacBook Pro has to be the Touch Bar. It's an OLED Retina display that sits above the keyboard and replaces the row of function keys. It replaces system functions, it adapts to the software you're using at the time. So if you switch to something like Final Cut or Mail or Safari, you'll see the controls on that touch bar change.
All right, guys, we're in the final stretch. We're in the top 3 now. Number 3 is a video titled, I Can't Find a Jet Black iPhone 7. Now, I mentioned earlier, I was going all over Seattle trying to find the different colors of iPhone. This is that video. So this isn't a review at all. This is just a vlog of me running around trying to find all the iPhones I need in order to make my review video. So check this out. I can't find a jet black iPhone 7.
All right, guys, I got a few things happening right now. I've got a couple things going on Craigslist. Hopefully one of those comes through for a jet black, either iPhone 7 or iPhone 7 Plus. I've also got something going for a Plus in regular black. If you guys want to see the new, I want to bring you the new. Also got a sign right there on the door. Hey, FedEx, do not walk away if you knock on the door. Give me a second to get to the door because they will leave. All right, now we're at Bellevue Square, checking out another Apple store. This is one of the flagship Apple stores across the country. Do they have any jet blacks, or are there people here selling jet blacks? And this is also one of the Apple stores that sells the Apple Watch Edition, which not all of them do anymore. So let's go see what stock they have.
They got jet black in the window display, but how about actually inside? They have one jet black phone that you can check out. It's a regular iPhone 7.
That guy has it.
It's the best iPhone that we have ever created.
All the rest of the blacks are matte black, and then of course there's other colors. Apple Store let me down again. They did not have what I need, but I think I just got a hot tip. We're gonna have to run. We're gonna have to run if we wanna make this. We're on a mission for you guys. We're on a mission. People need to know what to pick. There's 2 blacks now. It is now 7:11 p.m. I left the house at 7:30 a.m. So almost 12 hours. I've been on this mission to find the iPhones I need for launch day. As you saw, I got a couple this morning. I've been looking for a jet black. My iPhone 7 Plus was supposed to arrive today. Apple said it would arrive today when I ordered it. UPS said it would arrive today when it shipped. Still not here, 7:11 p.m. And then I get a notification, sorry, it's coming tomorrow on Saturday. This is an insane day. Never had an iPhone launch day like this. Almost 8:30, and I just found a lead on an iPhone 7 Plus black 256 gigabyte model. I wanted a 256. I wanted it in black or jet black. I wanted it today on launch day. I have to go drive over an hour to get it.
All right, the runner-up for the most watched video of the year is here, and this one was called "The iPhone 7 is Here." Now, the interesting thing about this video is I actually shot it a few days before Apple announced the iPhone 7, and I published it the day before Apple announced the iPhone 7. And the whole premise of the video was that I was gonna tell you everything that Apple was gonna reveal about the iPhone before they did it. Now, most people in the comments, if you go look at that video, they're pretty much roasting me because they think a lot of what I'm saying is wrong or that Apple would never do these things that I was talking about. But if you watch it now, you'll pretty much see everything I said was spot on, with the exception of the name of jet black. I think I called it dark black or something like that. I said there'd be a black and a dark black or a piano black. But at the end of the day, check out this video. The iPhone 7 is here. So let's go through these one by one, starting with physical appearance. The big change on the physical appearance front is that the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus will be getting not 1, but 2 new colors. And at the same time, they're actually dropping one as well. So space gray is going away. It was introduced with the iPhone 5S, and it was there for the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6S as well. So it's lasted for 3 generations, and now it's gone. Replacing the space gray will be a new dark black color, similar to the black slate found on the iPhone 5. So in other words, it'll be a metallic matte black finish on the back of the iPhone. But that's not all. There's actually another new color that Apple's gonna be announcing, and that's piano black. Now, what's the difference between dark black and piano black? Well, piano black is a glossy black color, and the rumors are that it's pretty similar to the space black found on the stainless steel Apple Watch. Now, moving on from the physical appearance is another obvious change, although I guess it is part of the physical appearance of the phone. The biggest change on the iPhone 7 will most likely be the camera. The invitation to the Apple event hints at this with the great shallow depth of field and bokeh effect around the top of the Apple logo in the background. What you can expect is a 12 megapixel sensor, an f1.9 aperture, 1.4 micrometer pixel size, optical image stabilization on both models now, not just the Plus, and a new dual camera setup on the iPhone 7 Plus, which opens a bunch of possibilities, including optical zoom and capturing much crisper images. This is actually the one feature I'm most excited about more than anything. Now, the big elephant in the room, which you must accept by now, is that the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus will be dropping the headphone jack. It's gone. It's now a vestige of yesteryear. If you have a pair of headphones with a 3.5mm jack that you'd like to use with the new model, you'll need a dongle. Apple may include one in the box, but if they don't, they'll offer one for purchase, as will a bunch of third-party manufacturers. All right, guys, if you've been watching this long, you've made it to the end of the countdown. It's time to reveal my most watched video of 2016. And again, it surprised me, especially because of the amount of disdain that this phone got. I mentioned it earlier. It is the LG G5. So the video that made it to the top is my LG G5 review. Now, I think what might have helped that is I was actually the first one to put out an LG G5 video review, and no one else put one out for at least a couple of weeks until after I put mine out. I was one of the first ones to get it. Big shout out to LG and T-Mobile for making that happen. And no one else had it in their hands ready to publish for a few more weeks. So when people were looking for the review, the only one that would come up was mine. So here it is, take a look. My LG G5 review.
Features a transformative design with a slide out battery and modular functionality. In this episode, I bring you my full review. Stay tuned. The LG G5 is distinguished from its predecessors by its aluminum chassis and focus on modularity. The lower housing, which contains the battery, can be removed from the bottom of the device and replaced by alternative add-on modules that provide additional functions such as a camera grip or high fidelity audio module. More on those later though. The G5 is constructed with an aluminum unibody chassis available in silver, gold, graphite, and pink finishes. It's smaller than last year's model, making it feel like a more comfortable version of the Nexus 6P, and that's not a bad thing. A micro-dazing process was used to conceal the seams required for the antenna, which means there are no unsightly antenna bands. A rounded rectangular protrusion houses the camera components, and on the bottom you'll find a USB Type-C connector for charging and syncing. Unlike previous G models, the G5's volume buttons were removed from the back of the device and can now be found on the left-hand side of the device in the form of a volume rocker. The circular power button, which now also contains a fingerprint reader, remains on the rear. Now, as I mentioned, the lower portion of the device serves as a battery tray. It can be detached to remove or replace the battery, as well as install add-on modules to add additional functionality. The battery plugs into these modules, which is reinserted to replace the stock battery tray. I've found the G5's performance to be excellent on the T-Mobile unit that I've been testing. Animations flow smoothly, the phone reacts immediately, and the camera is basically instantaneous. Credit for that goes to Qualcomm's new top-tier Snapdragon 820 chipset, which is accompanied by 4GB of RAM inside the G5. Speaking of the camera, LG now actually offers two of them on the back, a regular 16 megapixel camera and an additional 135 degree wide angle 8 megapixel camera. These can be used individually, with the latter offering a wider, more panoramic view to better capture grand architecture or sweeping vistas, or they can work together to create some fun combinations and layering. Switching between the two cameras is super quick, and together with LG's established strength in imaging and camera software, I think it's a positive change. Jumping into specs for a moment, the LG G5 ships with Android 6.0 Marshmallow. On front, you've got a 5.3-inch 1440p IPS display, which equates to a 2560 by 1440 resolution. I already mentioned that Qualcomm Snapdragon 820 processor and 4GB of RAM, and the dual cameras on the rear. On front, you've got an 8 megapixel camera with an f2.0 aperture, and this is all powered on the inside by a 2800 mAh battery. By default, the LG G5 ships with 32GB of internal storage, which is expandable via microSD up to 2TB. Yes, up to 2TB. Of course, you'll have to wait until 2TB microSD cards are available, but when they are, you can use them here. One unique function of that 5.3-inch display is the always-on mechanism that persistently displays a clock and notifications even when the device is in standby. This allows you to see the time, date, and important notifications at a glance without waking the phone. As mentioned, the LG G5 ships with Android 6.0 Marshmallow, which is the latest Android operating system out of Google. LG says that due to confusion between removing shortcuts to apps and uninstalling them entirely, the G5's home screen does not feature an app drawer out of the box, and instead all apps are placed on pages of the main home screen, similar to what you'd find on iOS and other custom Android distributions. Additionally, the G5 also doesn't support Android Marshmallow's adopted storage feature, which lets you format external storage and have it treated as permanent internal storage. Now, earlier I mentioned the modular add-ons, which LG refers to as friends. I haven't gotten the opportunity to try any out yet, but here's what you can expect. There's the LG G-Cam Plus, which is a more comfortable way to take pictures. It adds a grip to the rear of the device that incorporates physical camera controls, a jog wheel for zoom, as well as supplemental battery life. There's also the LG Hi-Fi Plus, which is a collaboration between LG and Bang & Olufsen, which adds a DAC, an amplifier, digital stream digital audio support, and upsampling, and is bundled with Bang & Olufsen Play H3 earbuds. Other accessories include the LG 360 Cam, which allows you to capture 360-degree photos and videos, the LG 360 VR, which allows you to watch those 360-degree photos and videos in a portable and lightweight device that attaches to the phone's USB-C port, and the LG Rolling Bot that kind of rolls around and takes 8 megapixel pictures and 1080p videos, controls your TV, can control your air conditioning, and can even use a laser light to play with your pet, but that one won't be out for about 5 or 6 months. All these devices are managed by the LG Friends Manager application on the device, which automatically pairs and synchronizes with them for easy setup. The LG G5 and some of its friends accessories will be available globally.
There you have it, guys. That was my top 10 videos of 2016. I thought it was a great year in tech. It was a fun year. Obviously, I put out a lot of videos, 125 or so videos for the year, so there must have been a lot to talk about. I'm looking forward to trying to surpass that in the next year, 2017. I also want to thank you guys, especially 2016 was a huge growth year here on the channel. I think my subscribers grew by either 3 or 4 times over the course of January to December, which that has never happened before. I've been here on YouTube for about 8 or 9 years, and there's never been a year with that much crazy growth as this one. So thank you so much for all your subscribes, your likes, your comments, your shares, anything you do. All that stuff is greatly appreciated, and it helps me out probably more than you know. Drop a like on this one if you enjoyed it. Feel free to share this one around on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you are. And don't forget to drop a comment below letting me know what your favorite video in this top 10 list was, and also what was your favorite tech of 2016 and what are you looking forward to in 2017. This is gonna be my last video of the year for 2016. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm headed over to Vegas for CES 2017 in just a couple days. You'll see more videos from me from Las Vegas next week. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your support so much. I'm Andrew Edwards, and I'll catch you in the next video.